Hi, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mateo Chavez Lewis, and welcome back to Music Theater Theory. Today we're going to be looking at a song from the 2017 film The Greatest Showman, written by Pasek and Paul, the same writing team behind Dear Evan Hansen. They wrote the lyrics to La La Land. They've written a whole bunch of stuff. This movie fictionalizes the life and career of circus showman P.T. Barnum. And this song is called Never Enough. It's sung by the character of Jenny Lind, who's like an opera singer, and this is, in the story, her American stage debut. And so because Jenny Lind, the character, is in the story an opera singer singing what would be, the popular music of that time period, in order to get us as a modern day audience to relate to the kind of role that this singer plays in this society, the writers wanted to write a song that kind of reflects the popular music of today, to kind of compare how opera singers in that time period served kind of the same role that like pop stars do today. So the song borrows a lot from 21st century pop. It starts like this. I'm trying to hold my breath, let it stay this way, can't let this moment end. Right away you can tell that this is paying tribute to the classic like teen pop zeitgeist of the 21st century. Because, first of all, look at the chords, right? You have... which is 3 out of the 4 chords in the Axis of Awesome chord progression, right off the top of the song. Oh, if you don't know what the Axis of Awesome chord progression is, you can check it out at the link in the description. It's basically like the 4 most commonly used chords in pop music, and this uses 3 of them right away. And then it also uses these 3 lines, which are all 3 of them cliches from, teen pop. Like you could find them in High School Musical, you could find them in Camp Rock or Hannah Montana, that kind of energy. There's always something about, I gotta catch my breath, there's always something about like this moment, and like I can't let this moment end, like in every teen pop song. And so by borrowing that, they're kind of making a statement about the role that opera singers played at that time. And you set off a dream in me, getting louder now. Can you hear it echoing? Take my hand, will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you. So there are kind of 2 variations of the Axis of Awesome 4 chords. The first one is starts major and then goes major 1, 5, 6 minor, 4, right? That's the normal one. There's also a little bit of like a lesser known one. It's not in the video that is in the link, but it starts on the minor, and this one, Pasek and Paul, who wrote this, use it a lot, like they use it in Dear Evan Hansen. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? That's that chord progression. The idea is it's the same 4 chords in the same order, 1, 5, 6 minor, 4, but it just starts on the 6 minor and then does the loop, so 6 minor, 4, 1, 5. So that's a little nerdy tidbit about those 2 chord progressions and how they're linked. We get them both in this song because that little pre-chorus, take my hand, will you share this with me? 'Cause darling, without you, that's 6 minor, 4, 1, 5. And then we go into the chorus, which is 1, 5, 6 minor, 4, so starts on the major. And have you noticed like how the singer kind of builds up here? Like we started off really low, I'm trying to hold my breath, like very, very low in the singer's voice. And we're gonna keep getting higher. So it started off, I'm trying to hold, and this was the highest note. Then it went, take my hand, right? And then this was the highest note. Now we're going up to this C here. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. That never in the melody is accented because it goes above that A flat for the first time in the whole song. Never be enough, So it really accents that word never, which is gonna come back a lot in this song. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands could hold the world, but it'll... That's such a clever rhyme there with the little and it'll. Like, I just think it's, if you can rhyme a contraction, I just think you're brilliant. By the way, I just want to pause here for a second to shout out AUSTIN NEBBIA, who helped me script this video. I've been feeling kind of under the weather this week, so Austin stepped in to help me out, and he is just like a brilliant young man, and I happen to call him a very close friend as well. So shout out to AUSTIN NEBBIA. It'll never be enough, never be enough for me, never, never for me, never enough, never enough for me. There are a few things here I want to point out. The first is this little piano figure you may have heard. And that is a classic, like, contemporary pop musical theater little figure. If you've watched my video on The Wizard and I, you'll know that that little figure is everywhere in Wicked. You may recognize it from The Wizard and I, the song itself. And the next thing I want to point out is how this little like chorus refrain thing is structured. It's kind of a really weird structure where we have a verse, you know, you set off a dream in me, that whole thing. Then we have the chorus, all the shine of 1,000 spotlights. Then we have this like post-chorus thing, which is very common in like dance pop, but not so much in musical theater. And this is the whole never, that whole part. What's interesting about this is it's kind of comprised of 2 blocks, and the blocks intersperse and intermingle in different ways throughout. And what that allows us to do is to build it, because it's kind of starting like this is the first time we're hearing this, but it's already like at a forte dynamic, which means super, super loud. And so where are we going to build from that if we want to build throughout the course of the song, which of course we always do in musical theater? And the answer is, instead of building in dynamic, because we're going from loud to loud still, instead it builds in combinations of these blocks. So we have the first block, which is never, and then we have the second block, which is never enough, and they combine. So you'll notice like one of them, the singer sings never enough, and the piano goes, and then there's another where the singer goes never, and the piano goes, you see, and then at the end the singer will sing both of them at the same time. Never enough, never enough. So the way that they combine differently each time you hear it is how they build, even though it's what some might consider a very repetitive little chunk of music. It still manages to build throughout the course of the song, which of course it always has to in the musical theater tradition. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough. So here we're right back to the chorus. So this is very, very non-traditional. Usually we have a verse, you know, you set off a dream in me. Then we have the chorus. And then maybe even we have a post-chorus, especially in like dance music. But then we almost always come back to the verse. So you would think there would be another section where the energy level comes back down and we hear more information about what's going on to that melody from the beginning. But that just doesn't happen in this song. It just never goes back to the verse. Never. The way that they build this chorus, because we just heard this chorus already, and then there hasn't been a verse to separate it, but the way they differentiate it is that now instead of going plain quarter notes in the piano, which was the first chorus, now the second chorus is these 16th notes. So there's a lot more movement, and there's like some triplets in there, some like just a little bit more movement, exciting rhythm stuff happening in the piano. So that is kind of how musically it differentiates itself, the second chorus, from the first chorus. Towers of gold are still too little. These hands could hold the world, but it'll never be enough. Never be enough for me. Never, 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 never for me, for me. So here's where the singer combines those two blocks. Remember the never, never block and then the never enough block. Those are two different blocks. And then here the singer combines them. Never enough, never, never, never enough, never, never, never enough for me, for me, for me. For me. And do you notice how, like, the whole song is like forte, right? It's almost all loud. Once it gets to loud in the first chorus, I mean, the beginning is softer, but once it gets to loud in the chorus, it stays loud. It doesn't go back down. So you would wonder, like, what's going to be the big finish? And it's almost more powerful that it ends really, really quietly like that, where the singer goes all the way down to, like, pianissimo and goes, for me, like super, super quiet and vulnerable, because that's kind of the thing that we haven't heard, and so it provides a lot of contrast, which makes it a very powerful ending, even though it's not powerful in the way you might expect. So that's Never Enough. It's a pretty interesting song for a few reasons. The first one is that generally the accepted wisdom in musical theater is that when you're writing a song, you want to keep the lyrics as specific to your character as possible because, you know, specificity becomes universal. It is kind of the mantra that you hear. But here Pasek and Paul have written these kind of very generalized lines, and they certainly can apply to Jenny, the character singing, and her desire to want more out of life, and the attraction that she maybe feels to Hugh Jackman's character, because who wouldn't feel that attraction to Hugh Jackman? But these lyrics, they can also apply to Barnum, they can apply to like Zendaya and Zac Efron's characters, or they can also apply to me, or they can apply to my grocery store cashier. Like, they can apply to anybody. And I don't know, even though it's generic writing, and you're not really supposed to write generic writing that can apply to any situation. You're supposed to write specific writing that applies to a specific situation. But I think that because she's an opera singer and in the show she's supposed to be singing kind of the popular music of the time, it makes sense that she's singing a song that is a little bit more universal. And I mean, it doesn't hurt because it helped the song get radio play, you know, because everybody can relate to it. So I don't know, do you think that Pasek and Paul wrote these lyrics to be so general so that they could be more universal and so that they could tell the story of the opera singer better? Or do you think they wrote it because they were too lazy to write a more specific lyric? Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't have an opinion either way. Oh, also, if you have any more thoughts for songs you want me to analyze, drop those in the comments as well. And here is a playlist of all the songs I've analyzed before. So you should definitely check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back next Saturday. I will see you then. Once again, my name is Mateo Chavez Lewis, and this has been Music Theater Theory. Oh.